Get ready to amplify your light and shine bright because it's about to get real. Join Spencer Jones, the Prince of Positivity, and get energized with this episode of the Jonesin For Show. Let's go! Hey, Energizer! Welcome to this episode of the Jonesin For Show, the show that's here to help you live your life to the max. And we have another incredible guest joining you. She has been so amazing. I've gotten to know her over the last, 3 or so months. She became a member in the UnleashU Now family, and it's just been so cool to see her. She's been a business owner for years and has helped hundreds of people already, which is awesome. And now to see her expand and grow that business, and more than a business, expand her impact with this world. So it's been really exciting to get to see what she does, what she's about, who she's serving and helping. And ever since I learned about her and what she does, I was like, we have to have you on the Jonesin For Show. Let's get you on. Let's have you share your light, your message with the world so that you can live your life to the max and gain some amazing wisdom from this awesome woman. So without further ado, please help me welcome Michelle Aalbers to joining us. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much. I absolutely love that your shirt has a lightning bolt, like the Energizer is all with the lightning bolt, because you are like, you're the amplifier, right? Like it's like you have this energy like that just like comes from your being. And I always feel like, oh, I'm ready. Like, even if I come in, like every time we talk or if we're in groups together, I'm like, there's Spencer. If I'm feeling even a little bit like depleted in my energy, just regenerate, just take a look at that smile, take a look at that heart, and it's like, there it is, I feel good again. Which is great, to be honest, that's like how I like to show up in the world too, right? Like I want to be like that person who's like vibrant and energetically sound, so to speak, so that I feel inspiring and somehow some way a catalyst for other people to then understand that like it's available, you know?
Right, to be that lighthouse for other people. So instead of being an energy drain or an energy vampire, like just sucking away other people's energy, you're giving them energy, light. And obviously at times we need to recharge ourselves, but to be that energizer, that light, that lighthouse, that lightning bolt for people, it makes such a big difference. And there's times when I'm not always as vibrant as I am other times, but if I'm always show up as me, truly and authentically, it's a different experience, and I always feel better, and people around me always seem to get energized from that when I'm just me.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. And it took me a long time to get there, it's like that whole, once you start taking down the walls, like the wall behind me, right? Once you start taking down those stones that, I don't know, I put up a lot of stones in my life just to guard and protect. And once I was like, yeah, I don't think this is working, it's time to start digging into that.
Right, start removing the wall and one stone at a time. And
and then building a foundation that's actually strong and built in light and love versus guarding and protecting and fear. It's like, oh, that's so heavy. Right. When you're just like the keeping it there, like that structure, like you'd think it would be this big solid wall that's like, well, it's there now, you can just let it go. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. Like to keep that wall there, it's like to hide your soul space, to hide that light actually takes a lot of effort. So it's like, once I was liberated, not to say that I don't ever, put up a block or a boulder or, put something in the way of something, but it's definitely not my main pattern anymore. And so just like, being with people like you who also show up in that, like, I'm mindfully authentic. Like if I feel myself putting up a mask or a filter, it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I showing up in this way?
Exactly. You have that awareness and you could choose, do I want to keep it up? Do I want to put it down? What do I want to do? And I've noticed myself lately when I'm around those people, I'm like, oh, I should act this way. I should do this. I should dress this way. And I stop myself. I go, oh, okay, why? Why do I feel that way? And then do I really want to? Does being around that person really energize me? Are they helpful, or am I just trying to prove something or whatever, to get that validation? And not that that's necessarily bad, but a lot of time it doesn't resonate for me, is what I've noticed. So I go, oh, why do I need to dress up or act a certain way around you when your energy does not align with me? And that's fine, but I don't need to impress you. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be me. Right. And to
Yeah.
do that's huge. But I like you have built walls, many walls. I was really good at building walls and really good at putting on faces, and all the Energizers who have listened to the show before have probably heard my story, but I was a master of wall building and faces and facades and putting on different faces for different people. And not I so much so where I lost my soul space. I didn't know who I was, didn't understand it. It was just, I just kept falling back on these walls, on these personas that I put on, and to the point where I didn't know who I was until it came crashing down. I didn't get a chance to remove the blocks like you, like, oh, we're going to take this stone down, we're going to dissolve these walls, and what we try to help people do. I didn't get that chance. It all of a sudden, this bulldozer came through, a bomb went off, and exploded everything. So there was nothing left. There was no walls, no nothing. It was the cold, scared Spencer all by himself, and realizing, oh crap, I need to take care of him and love him, and figure out who this person is, because I didn't know who I was, and I didn't like myself for a long time, and trying to work and working through that to be who I am today. So long story, right? It's crazy, but I know you. We've had an amazing conversation. We were chatting for like a half hour before this call, as it was this interview, because we were just having fun chatting. But I know you, but a lot of our Energizers don't. Share a little bit about you, your journey, what brought you here, and what you are doing now, so they kind of know, like, oh, this is Michelle. I see why Spencer has her on. That's why she's a badass.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting if you go back to how I started in my world before I entered this world of healing. I was a preschool teacher first, and then I was a human resources generalist at a music college, which was amazing. Amazing people. There were lots of creativity. And then my sister took a Thai massage training course, and she showed me a couple of things, and I was like, I really think I need to know how to do this. And so down the fast track we went, and that changed my entire world. That was when I got my bulldozer, my like, holy crap, I didn't know this. I didn't know my body felt like the wall behind me, right? Like I didn't know I had that much tension. I didn't know I was making life as hard as I was. I didn't even understand that I didn't have self-love. Like, cause I feel like I always connected with that little light in me that was my heart, my soul space, my lightning bolt.
Right.
It just wasn't very bright or loud because it was underneath all of the clutter and the mud and the muck of the, and I had to work my way through that. I always use the story of the lotus. Like the lotus has to go through the mud in order to bloom and to find the light. And it's like the number of times I've been in that mud and rebloomed and gone back into the mud again and rebloomed. And I'm to the point now where I've done that enough times that I actually, when it starts happening, I look forward to it. I'm like, okay, I got to make sure I manage my energy. This is going to be a doozy. I can feel how messy this one's going to get. And I'm really grateful. Well, now I'm grateful that I have like the support, the communities that I do, the people in my life that I do, knowing I have like the wherewithal, like the inner witness within myself that tells me like, do I need space on my own right now? Or do I need to reach out and phone a friend, so to speak? So I think that healing journey, when we open to it, is at first it's confusing and painful and does feel like a bomb going off. It's like this, okay, well, now I don't have a foundation. So what do I do about that? Things have crumbled away to the point of, like you said, like just cold and alone. And then a gust of wind happens, and that's a lot of pain, but then as we start, building back and finding that self-love, that light within us. And for me, it wasn't just about the self-love. I think I think the self-worth was maybe the hardest part for me. And I didn't even know self-trust was a thing until later in my journey. And then I realized, I actually think how I built the self-love and the self-worth was through self-trust. Because when you start showing up for yourself in an authentic way that is like committed, like you make yourself a promise, you say you're going to do a thing and then you follow through, which was not something I ever did before, because I self-sabotaged all the time because I didn't think I was worthy of it, right? Like there was all those layers. But once you start like making every little step, and every little step is like, well, I wouldn't betray a friend in this way. Why am I doing that to myself? And you realize, okay, I'm just going to take this step. I'm going to do this one thing for myself and see how it feels. And then as you do that over and over and over again, you actually build trust. Like, and it's not about like, I trust myself in that, like, I'm the only one who can do the things. It's like, no, I trust myself to get quiet and listen and know what I might need next. And if I don't know, I'm okay and open and accepting of the fact that like, I might have to fish around a little. Like, who's the people that can help me out of this funk? Who are the people in my life that can help me navigate back into self-love? Because apparently I'm back into self-sabotage. Wait, what happened? I thought I was, I thought I was good. But we all have those moments where something really hard happens, and then I'm just going to use imposter syndrome as an example, right? Like, you start wondering like, oh, do I really have anything to provide here? Am I really authentic? Wait, why am I second guessing everything right now? So it's complicated. And if you break it down with just words, it sounds so dang easy, but it's so not.
It's a journey,
But
right?
it's so worth it.
It's a journey that's 1000% worth it, but it's filled with highs and lows, those summits and those valleys where you're rocking and rolling, feeling great, and then you're not. And it's not necessarily immediate. Hopefully it's not an immediate thing, but like you said, you feel when you start being that lotus, getting buried in the mud again, and then you can see who's around me, who's that support system I have, what do I need? And maybe you need to reach out to new people and be open to a new expert, a new teacher, a new guide at points, right? That's why you reach out to Michael and discover that, because you were in the darkness for some parts of our life, not all of it, right? It's not always all parts of your life, it's some parts. And then you found a new guide, a support system, and teacher to help you through that. And oh my gosh, like a whole new world after that. And it's amazing what happens when you look at yourself and you go, okay, I don't love myself. I don't value who I am. I don't trust myself. There's self-trust, worthiness, love issues. There's all these different things that we struggle with ourselves. And we push it out on so many people, right? We blame it on other people. We say, oh, you don't do this, or it's because of their issue. But in the long run, it's all internal. It's all us just what's what I'm looking for, placing it on someone else, right? We're placing this thought or emotion on this other person, but thinking they have it, but we're the one experiencing it. The fact we don't trust or love ourselves or don't feel we are worthy. How can we work on that? You mentioned like, okay, start doing things that I say I'm going to do, and I'm going to follow through. I'm not self-sabotaging. That's one strategy to do it. Can you give like maybe specific suggestions or other ways we can improve our self-love, our self-worth, trust, all of that good stuff, and end self-sabotaging?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really messy journey for me. I'm going to be honest. It was not an easy thing for me to find. It took a hot second. I think one of the most powerful things for me was there was a meditation that I did on the very first day of my yoga teacher training, where we went from the farthest external as we could get, like connect to the farthest sound you can hear, see, sense, know, feel. And then we worked our way, onto the sidewalk outside the building we were in, into the building we were in, into the room we were in. And then we go to the sensations in our body. Then we go inward to the visceral sensations inside our body. And then we go to the level of our thoughts. And then I remember her saying, just notice your thoughts, like just notice them and ask yourself, who's observing these thoughts? And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, who is it that's observing your thoughts? Notice that they're going without you asking them to, that they will just keep moving and the thoughts are happening there, but there's someone there witnessing your thoughts. Who is that witnessing your thoughts? And I just remember being like mind blown and confused all at the same time, because it did not bring me to clarity or like calmness in that moment. I was like, wait, what? And then, and then she's like, okay, so notice that there's this calm observer within you that is like witnessing these thoughts, and know that this observer is you, and this calm piece of you has all the answers, and that it's always there for you. You just have to know it and, choose to connect with it, and in that moment I was not into meditation. So like, these are just words at this point, but they had a profound impact. Obviously a seed was planted that day. And then she says, okay, between this calm observer and your thoughts, notice that there's a gap, there's a space. She goes, if it's accessible to you, just step into that space between this observer and your thoughts and rest. And the way she said it was like calming. And I wasn't there. I wasn't in the gap. I was still mind blown by the fact that I had a difference between my thoughts and the person.
Right.
So I was like, what? But I got what she was saying. Like for somewhere in my being, I was like, oh, I feel like this is a real place that I need to explore. And so that became my meditation for a while. And eventually, guess who found the gap? You know,
That's
I
awesome.
found the gap. And now, like, if I can't do it when I'm in high stress, but if I'm in low stress looking for clarity on something that I'm doing, or if I'm in medium stress looking to get maybe a different thought loop, to go into like a float tank and turn on my Reiki and step into the gap, it always happens. I always get some sort of download, like connected with that, with that light, with that space of knowing. It's like this heartfelt, I know it's coming from here, not from those messy thoughts that I like to bring in.
Right.
So that might not be for everyone. I understand we all have our own ways, but for me, that was the first thing that just got me to understand, like, well, first of all, I need to slow down. Go for me was an avoidance. So I had to be willing to be uncomfortable in the quiet. And I just had to let that get messy. Sometimes that meant I needed to phone a friend. Sometimes that meant it was like, oh, I think I probably should maybe book an appointment with a therapist, right? Like sometimes it was like, I think I need a Reiki healing session. I mean, I would get inquisitive and playful with that, but it was a lot of different, I had to acknowledge and have an awareness around the fact that like I was in full blown avoidance of all of my pain points.
I think so many of us are, right? I feel that, especially the go, go, go kind of society that we live in, we feel pressured to constantly be on the go, to show results all the time. And if we're not hustling, we're losing. And that mentality's just been preached and taught and ingrained in us so much. And it's great to see that shift finally just maybe start to happen. But and to be leaders in that's amazing for both of us. But we don't need to go, go, go. We can take that pause. And for many of us, that go, go, go is a avoidance tactic of dealing with ourselves, right? I know people who say they hate meditation because that inner voice really starts to come out. Their inner critic really starts, and they can't hush it. They can't quiet that voice. And I get it. It's hard to do that. And meditation can give you some of the tools and tactics and strategies to help you quiet that inner voice to a degree where you're not ignoring it, but you're intentionally focusing at certain points, and then you allow it to speak, but then you could dismiss it and bring it back to whatever that is. So going again from your focus points of something very external, getting closer and closer to, okay, your person, your feelings, your thoughts, and now a person observing the thoughts, and then the gap in between, like that's huge. And it takes time to be able to do that. You might have been conceptually there, but emotionally, physically, spiritually, all that, you weren't there that first day. It took time. And that's a big part of this thing, is it's a process. But what I love, what I'm hearing, what I love is that you are aware. You're aware of the thoughts and feelings you have. I'm okay. I'm feeling aware that I'm getting sucked into the suck. I'm getting sucked into the dirt, the grime, the struggles, the stress. I'm aware of that. So then, well, now that I have the awareness, I could choose what actions I want to take after that. So many people aren't aware of it. It's just part of their day, part of life. They get sucked into the sucked, right? The Hoover's going right over, and they get sucked right into that vacuum. So what can they do? How can people enhance their awareness?
Yeah. And I think the other piece to that, the other layer to that, what you alluded to, is like, you think you don't have a choice. And I think just having like, you do have a choice. Like, what have you been doing so far? And to be honest, like creativity, like this is just sort of how it's feeling in the now. Creativity is the way out. Because if you're doing the same thing, what if you just try something different, just for even a couple days, and just see if it makes some sort of a shift? Because when I realized I had a choice, well, it was two parts for me, and I'm really good at beating myself up. And so for my first part was like, oh, so that means that like all these choices that I've been making, like I got to own those, right? Like I haven't been making great choices. And I did need to like acknowledge that, like, okay, well, perhaps I haven't made the most wise choices. And, simple answers are things like, well, I haven't been ingesting the proper foods, and I haven't been getting the right amount of sleep, and I've been spending time with the wrong people, like people that aren't feeding my fire, but that are depleting me. I call them energy vampires, like you call energy vampires. Like anything that takes us out of our energy, it's just like, I'm like, I don't feel replenished or rejuvenated. I feel depleted. Well, why am I making that choice then? I either need to spend less time or no time, and sometimes that's just simply a healthy boundary. I think about some of my masks and filters. It's like I had masks and filters because I didn't have healthy boundaries. I had walls because I didn't know what a boundary was that was healthy. All of my boundaries were like, oh, you need something? Sure, I'll tuck into the box that you need and I will fit and give you what you need. And I will overextend myself at the expense of myself. Like that was my life for the first 35 to 40 years of my life. I'm 53, it's like, that was a good chunk of my world.
Right. I think that's huge. Let's not just glaze over that. The fact that you build your walls, we build those faces, those that put that armor up, all those things, but those aren't boundaries. I mean, they kind of are, but boundaries are meant to serve you. And those are serving other people. That's hurting you by cutting you off, cutting your light off. It's a wall that goes up, or a shade or whatever you want to think about, a curtain, whatever, that dims your light from being shined out because it's holding it hostage inside. A boundary is instead something that holds someone else out, protecting your peace, right? So I can see how walls can be confusing because walls can do both technically, but
Right.
most of us, when we talk about walls, the facade, the armor, it's holding us hostage as opposed to helping us be our best, like boundaries do. Hey, are you ready to crush it, to go after your dreams and goals and live your life to the max? Well, of course you are. That's why you're here listening or watching to the Jonesin For Show, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But sometimes we still get stuck, right? These podcasts, this show is great, but that's not everything sometimes. Sometimes we need a little more. And you know what? I get that. What helps me and what has helped me and continues is a community. And surrounding myself with people who are amazing, who are like-minded, like me, going after goals, achieving big things, and pushing themselves and others to be their best. Wouldn't it feel amazing to be surrounded by a community like that? To be surrounded by people who are like you, who have big goals and dreams, and they're going for them. Not only are they going for their goals, they're helping and encouraging you to go after yours. Well, if that sounds interesting, if that sounds fun, if that sounds like a community you would love to be part of, well then come check out Spencer's Energy Hub. That's right, I have our membership community, well, I should say we have a membership community that's here for you. I say we because we are the Energizers, just like you. We energize each other to be our best. We have monthly rock star interviews, right, where we interview masters in their field. We have weekly trainings. We meditate every week as a community. And you can hop in and join us. You get special access to me along with an incredible community of people. So if you are ready to level up, if you are ready to be a rock star and crush your goals while being surrounded by an incredible and amazing community, check out Spencer's Energy Hub. All you have to do is go to spencersenergyhub.com and check it out. Or if you want, just head over to my website, www.spencermjones.com, and check out the hub. We would love to have you inside. All right, back to your show.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for boundaries when I actually started learning them, and my partner is amazing with boundaries, and I have him to thank for he fast-tracked my boundaries for sure because he helped me hold space for that. But boundaries are a form of acceptance of like the reality that is, right? Like I'm not trying to change anyone else with my boundaries. My boundaries are what I will and won't accept from other people. And it's up to me to show up in a way that either allows it or doesn't. But it's not about like, I accept, you for exactly where you are today. And also I get to have my healthy boundary. And if that means I need to create space or walk away or remove myself, or simply like, there's certain things that I won't do. Like there's certain topics that I will not talk about with certain people because It's pointless. It destroys our energy and eventually it will destroy the relationship. So it's like, yeah, no, we're not going to talk about that. Remember we had that conversation and we made that decision, that's a simple one.
Right. So what I'm hearing is that boundaries allow you not to change who you are. They keep your energy where it is. While when putting up walls or those facades, you're manipulating who you are, your energy, to fit someone else's image or what you believe they want you to be. So a wall, boundary, armor, whatever, it's you manipulating yourself for another person. When a boundary's, nope, I'm not asking you to change. I'm not trying to manipulate you, but I'm not going to manipulate myself. It's a boundary that says, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to ask you to do that.
Exactly. And then we're either a good fit or we're not. And that's okay. And that's all done in love. Like none of it is done in anger or sadness, right? Like it's done from that really clear place of love and acceptance. And, you know, I sometimes, like, I've had boundaries that I've set that then mean people, like, we do separate. And then that's not to say there's not grief around that or emotions that need to be processed, but also, like, none of the healthy boundaries that I've set have been, I don't have regrets around them. They feel healthy, they feel whole, they feel like that is the one of the purest forms of self-love. My walls were created for me to feel loved, but they weren't healthy for me. Whereas, like, my true self-love is me authentically showing up as me and honoring what that looks like. You know, I used to be the person that was like, I'm me and I don't care who likes it. And that was all coming from anger. It was bullshit too, because I did care. I cared what everyone thought.
Right.
I wanted to be in all the boxes. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm going to show up, you know, authentic to who I am and congruent with how I want to be in this world. And to be fair, I ask that question of myself a lot. How do I want to show up today? How do I want to show up for this interview? How do I want to show up for my friend? How do I want to show up for this lunch? How do I want to show up for my partner? How do I want to show up for my kids? Like, how do I want to show up is huge, because it gives me a mindset and a clarity. You know, and I'm not giving necessarily concrete examples of how you can come into self-love, but all these things worked for me. And maybe some of them will for you too, right? Like, plant the seeds into the garden and then nurture and nourish the ones that fit with you. Because if there's anything I've learned in teaching things like Reiki and sacred practices and living traditions, it's that if you don't make the practice your own, if it's not congruent with you and your light, it's not going to resonate with you, and you won't show up in the world authentic because it's not yours yet. You haven't, like, embraced it and integrated it into your being. And watching students go, oh wait, you're giving me permission to play and to be in my own, you know, my own being. Yes. I'm not even encouraging you to, I'm asking you to, I'm inviting you to, you know, like, yes, please do. Like, it's so important. We don't belong in boxes.
Yet so many of us feel like we have to, right? We have to be in boxes and fit this certain criteria. We need to look this certain way, act this certain way, do this, do that. You know, media and society, we feel, pushes all of us to be that certain way, right? And it's great to see people pushing against that now and really stepping and owning themselves. It's what we try to do, is help people own their energy sovereignty, so they don't have to conform to what other people say, what they think other people want them to be. They can just be themselves. But it's hard. It's, as you mentioned, how can we get over that pressure from outside forces so that we can be our true selves?
I think one thing that helped me, as I'm, like, you know, as I hear you talk about the boxes and all those things, I think sometimes I need, like, another out, so to speak, or another way to reframe it. I wear many hats, but I choose my hats mindfully, and they're all a part of me. They're all a piece of me, right? So, like, I wouldn't show up at a preschool event. I used to teach preschool. I wouldn't show up at a preschool event and use swear words.
Right.
But I'm a swear word person to move energy. And sometimes in my summits, you know, with a group of people that are all grown adults, like, I make it a safe space where we all get to swear. That's a different hat. It's a different filter, but it's a safe, healthy boundary filter and a way that I want to show up. So a hat to me feels like, how easy is it to remove a hat, right? Like, it's just another part of me. It's in my pocket. I put it on and it fits, and it is still me. But the box feels like somebody else gave it to me and I have to tuck in. So I think the question is, like, is this mine? Does this feel like true to who I am in the now? And, you know, I ebb and flow. I'm not the same person I was 30 years ago. And I always say that. And I'm like, but I'm still me. I've always been in here. Like, this light has always been mine. But she's grown and evolved and is willing to be brighter now than she's ever been before. And you just gotta, like, look at the light and see how it feels. And when you get that aha moment where there's like this I don't even know how to describe it. I use the word joy, but it's not quite right, right? It's better than that, where you get this like, that's it. That's it. Like, listen to that, take note of that. Cause I used to go in blind. I didn't pay attention to any of those visceral reactions I had in my body. I was too busy in the external world figuring out how I needed to show up for the others. But when I asked myself, like, what actually makes me light up inside? What makes me smile from the inside out? When you can figure that out, that leads you to all the good places, not necessarily the easy places, but definitely the good places.
Right. The places that fill you with joy. And I love that. So again, coming back to awareness, right? Just bringing that right back there, awareness and listening to you, your body, your mind, your heart, just listening to yourself and going, what brings me joy? What doesn't? Oh, this doesn't. This feels off. This feels wrong. Or this feels right. This feels good, and I love that expression. It makes you smile from the inside out. If something does that, then it's in alignment with you and your energy. And I like what you said about hats, right? It's easy to take on a hat and put on this different personas for different things. Like, okay, from when I was teaching in front of the classroom, it's different than how I am at home and different than how I am on stages and whatever. I get that, but I also struggle with that just because of my past going, okay, I'm not afraid of putting on different hats, but for me, I get the connotation where I make it into a box, like what you said, like I'm going to conform to be this person at this point, this person here. No, you just get me. Now, I'm not going to swear in front of kids or do something like that, but at my events, yeah, like I'm going to because that's me. But regardless, that light is always me. I'm always going to be my true, authentic self. Whether I'm wearing a suit, whether I'm wearing a hoodie, it doesn't matter. You just get me. And that light's always been there, even from when I had all the walls up and all that, the energy, that light was still there. As much as I tried to bury it and hide it and change it, manipulate it to be whatever color and hue I wanted it to be, it was always there. So now it's like I've shed those layers and allowed my true light to shine. And to the point where I don't even think about it as like hats that I wear. I'm just me everywhere and anywhere I go. But I get what you're saying. Like I'm different now than it would be leading a retreat or an experience than it would be in a classroom. Like I get that.
Yeah, the hats are more a visual representation of the light from within. It's like the visual representation of how I answer the question, how do I want to show up? I'm not showing up inauthentically. That's not going to happen. Like I'm going to be real and me and my light. But some people like visualization, and that's the best one I've come up with outside of like masks or filter, because mask to me feels like it is a hiding thing, whereas a hat just feels like an embellishment. So that's just the only thing I could come up with. But I 100% I'm in on everything you're saying, because I do think like, and it's hard, right? Because the words don't work with what we're actually going for.
Right, not at all.
The learning process, like if I learned anything teaching preschool, is like sometimes you got to simplify and break things down in many different ways so that it hits, like, because everybody learns differently or like moves through things differently and sees things differently. But like I want to make it really clear, like we're not putting you into a box outside yourself, or you're not wearing a hat that's like outside of your being. Like you get to choose like which pieces of you are going to be brightest. But I don't even like that, because I don't see myself as pieces. I am a light.
Right.
I'm a light being, and that's it.
I love it. Love it.
Tricky. It's tricky. You have to break it down.
It is. It can be very tricky to break it down and find the words to describe it. So we use different analogies, sayings, whatever, to portray that. So, because everyone, as you said, learns differently, right? So we learn it, we hear it differently, and hopefully one of those resonates with us.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple more questions here before we wrap it up. One of the questions is, it's hard to do that. It's hard to be ourselves, to be our true authentic selves, to let our true light shine and not put ourselves in a box, because we feel that pressure from society, from life, from ourselves to put ourselves in that box many times. How can we be brave, or what strategy would you suggest for people to be brave to step into and shine their true authentic light?
A couple of things. I think for me, it was important for me to know why. Why was it so hard for me to be seen? I had trauma that I didn't know about and I needed to heal it, right? So it was tucking into boxes was important for me because I didn't think I was lovable because of a bunch of different things. So I think part of it is like, is there a root cause as to why you really don't want to be seen? Maybe. Might not be that deep, but it could be. So that's one possibility, right? I think the other thing is I think fear. I think changing our relationship to fear. It's not that it's not there, but like fear used to stop me in my tracks, and I'd be like, "Oh, I got fear. That's it. I'm out. This is my sign. I'm not supposed to do this." And what I realize is like, I can't remember who said it, but there was some podcast I was listening to, and they were talking about how, when you're at a gym working out, and like when you're in the middle of a really good workout and you're sweating and your heart is racing and like you have all these visceral feelings in your body, if that happened to you and you weren't working out, what would you think? You'd be like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. Like there's but if you think about it, like fear doesn't feel that different from that feeling. It kind of smacks you from out of nowhere, and it has like, it makes your heart race. It gets you a little sweaty. It's not that different. So for me, that was really powerful for me, because I was like, oh, this is a visceral reaction in my body. Let me listen to it for a minute. I definitely am in fear right now. Do I want to just lean into that just a little bit? Do I need support to lean into that just a little bit? Or am I really in a place where I am going to be frozen and paused for a minute and not? But even just acknowledging that it is fear is huge, because it starts to, if you get to know it, it helps you associate with it differently. Does that make sense? I don't know. That's a little tricky.
It makes perfect sense. I love it. I appreciate it. Okay, one more question here. What if you could offer one piece of advice to help a person live their life to the max? What would that be?
It's so hard. There's so many. I think really getting to know you and your light, like really like looking at yourself and understanding that there's no one else like you, and that is unique and special. And I want to see everyone's light. Like for me as a human, how I show up in the world today, when somebody is hiding their light, I actually can feel that energetically, and it feels uncomfortable. And when somebody shows up in a space of light and like just that confident in who they are, and I know they've connected to that like self-love space, there's a different energy there that is like, it ripples into the world in a different way. And I'm not saying if you're not connected there, it's a bad thing, or that even if it feels uncomfortable for me, that's a bad thing. It's just more of an awareness that comes in. And I just, like, I know I can't want it for you, right? But I want it for you. Like, you have to choose it. But it is so amazing when you become your own best friend. I have this class that I teach that's like love the I and friend. Become your own best friend. It is amazing. And coming from someone who hated herself for a long time, more than she loved herself. It's not that I didn't have it in there. I just couldn't find it. That's it. You have something special and unique to give to the world, and that is you and your light. And it doesn't have to be, I think we talk about like your purpose, or it doesn't have to be this big, brilliant, amazing, like you in and of yourself are big, brilliant, and amazing. That's enough. Like, that's perfect. I don't know. That's like, I'm so passionate about that. Like the self-love piece is so huge, and it makes me sad. Like, I cry when I think of old me who didn't love herself, and who I caused more pain in myself and in the world around me, right? Like the pain rippled out just like the love ripples out.
Right.
So if we're coming in the heart center, just imagine if more people in the world showed up in a space of love and then rippled that out, and then they ripple it out to their people, and then they ripple it out to their people. I think about that and I think, well, that's limitless. Let's do it. Rock on.
Right. I mean, that's our goal is to reach 1 billion people. And that's how, right? You face yourself and you learn to love yourself, embrace your true authentic light, and then let it shine, because then that'll ripple out and help over, more and more people, where we can reach 1 billion people in just 1% time. But I love the advice of look inward and get to know and love yourself, know your true light, and love your true light. That's huge, because so many people, myself included, for years, I put it off. I said, that's woo woo, that's whatever. I don't believe it. I love myself. Of course I do. And when in fact I hated myself, and had to really embrace and come to terms that I didn't, and then work and process and meet with therapists and do those things and do the work to love myself and really truly believe in who I am. And that made all the difference. And you're right, you feel the difference. You feel the energy when someone is their true self. Even if you're not, you don't consider yourself clairvoyant or intuitive in that sense, you could feel that energy once you know who you are. And I didn't really feel it before that, but the clearer I've gotten and more I've got to love myself, the better I have gotten at feeling and realizing other people's energy levels. And it's so amazing when that happens. I love that advice for people. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
So,
you.
so let me ask this, where can people connect with you and work with you? I mean, I know you have some awesome programs that you lead. How can people like, oh my gosh, Michelle's amazing, I need to go see what she's all about and work with her. How can they find you?
My personal Facebook page works. That's Michelle Aalbers, Aalbers. And then I have a website, JAIDEE Wellness, JAIDEE wellness.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on, all the social media stuff, email. I mean, I'm open to any sort of contact. I will request that you tell me how you found me, because I used to do only Thai massage, and I used to get a lot of interesting friend requests. So I prefer to know where you're coming from. I will accept anyone that like sees me on these platforms. I love new friends and new connections, and I'm just a little bit careful
Right.
on where they're coming from.
Well, you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people who have the right intentions. So there's
That's a
no
healthy
harm or
boundary
foul
for
in that.
me.
Right? It's a beautiful
Boundary.
boundary. So
Yeah.
yeah, friends, check her out. We will have the links to her social media pages and her website in the show notes, and you can find those at spencermjones.com/Jonesin For Show. Just click this episode and you'll see her bio and all the links and all that good stuff, so you can check her out and follow her. I strongly suggest you do, because she is awesome and she's growing her business even more and impact in this world. Her lights is shining bright, and we're excited. We were talking before this about ways we could collaborate together later this year in 2023 and in the future. So be on the lookout for that good stuff. So with that, Michelle, this has been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for being you and sharing your love and light with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This was awesome. And your light, I'm loving it. It's good.
Well, thank you. We're loving yours as well. Thank you. Thank you. Energizer, keep shining your light. Get to know your light. Love it. Believe in it, because you are amazing. You are worthy, and you are enough just the way you are. Never doubt that. If you need help believing it, well, you got me, you got Katie, you have Michelle, you have all of the Energizer family here by your side. So with that, keep being you, keep shining your light, and we'll catch you later.